The prospect of enjoying everlasting life in an earthly paradise under the rule of God's kingdom provides hope to our listeners and motivates them to love Jehovah. However, the good news also includes something else, something that we may not talk about as readily in our ministry. You may have noticed in Isaiah the expression, "and the day of vengeance of our God." So there's more to the good news than just the year of Jehovah's goodwill.
God was with me through it all. When I look back, I can see your hand, you had your hand on me. God was with me through it all. When I look back, I can see your hand, you had your plan for me.
Hello, welcome to Truth Prevails. This video is a clip from the JW.org, the October broadcast, where they explain what is the good news and how their ministry is going to be changing and how they're going to be preaching the judgment side of, the gospel and what the good news is. They're not going to just be preaching that we're going to be laying with lions and things, no one's going to be sick. That kind of message that they've been preaching to kind of get people in, now they're going to be preaching the judgment side. Surprising that they're going to be doing this, and you see the video, a different video I'll be releasing, the kind of fear that some of these witnesses are going to have to be preaching that. And that's the difference. The Christians, we preach everything. We preach because, the law is good. Everything's good. That's how people know that they are sinners. They know that they have to turn to God. But the thing that is kind of interesting, how, when witnesses give the kind of the scriptures for the good news, you see it in the video, they give scriptures that kind of fit their purpose and what they're trying to do. They don't give the clear scriptures. The Bible explains clearly what the good news is. That's 1 Corinthians 15, 1-4. You can look at Romans 1. It's the clear what it is, the gospel. But they don't use those verses, and there's a reason why, because that's not what they want to preach. So just like, comment, and share. Tell me what you're thinking. What do you think? Will witnesses actually start preaching the whole counsel of God, or is it just what it's going to tickle their ears? God bless.
As Jehovah's Witnesses, we have a wonderful privilege, the privilege of declaring the good news. But just what does that good news include? If we know the answer, how will that motivate us to be even more zealous as we declare the good news? Let's consider the answers to those questions. First of all, what is the good news? We get an idea by looking at how this expression is used in the Bible. For example, we read of the good news of the kingdom, the good news of God, the good news about Jesus Christ, the good news of the undeserved kindness of God, the good news of peace, and the everlasting good news. So we can say that the good news refers to the rule of God's kingdom and salvation by faith in Jesus. This includes all the truths about which Jesus spoke and the disciples wrote. Through the prophet Isaiah, Jehovah spoke about the preaching of the good news. Isaiah's prophecy described the purpose and effect of the good news to be preached, particularly from the time of Messiah's coming. Notice what's recorded at Isaiah 61, 1 and 2. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord Jehovah is upon me, because Jehovah anointed me to declare good news to the meek. He sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the wide opening of the eyes to the prisoners, to proclaim the year of Jehovah's goodwill and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn. This good news would have a positive effect on those who listen to it. It would bind up the brokenhearted and comfort all who mourn. This is likely the kind of good news that we talk about most in our ministry. The prospect of enjoying everlasting life in an earthly paradise under the rule of God's kingdom provides hope to our listeners and motivates them to love Jehovah. However, the good news also includes something else, something that we may not talk about as readily in our ministry. You may have noticed in Isaiah the expression, "and the day of vengeance of our God." So there's more to the good news than just the year of Jehovah's goodwill. We see this clearly in the words recorded at Revelation 14, 6 and 7. "And I saw another angel flying in mid-heaven, and he had everlasting good news to declare to those who dwell on the earth, to every nation and tribe and tongue and people. He was saying in a loud voice, 'Fear God and give him glory, because the hour of judgment by him has arrived. So worship the one who made the heaven and the earth and the sea and the springs of water.'" Evidently, the everlasting good news also includes a judgment message. What is the hour of judgment mentioned in this verse? According to some reference works, the original language term here rendered judgment refers to a legal process of judgment, a scrutiny of conduct. So God is looking closely at conduct, how people act. That is the basis for judgment. The hour of judgment mentioned in this verse includes both the pronouncement and the execution of divine judgment against all false religion, Babylon the Great, and all other parts of Satan's system of things. Of course, Babylon the Great and this world's institutions have already been judged. However, their sentence has yet to be carried out. When will that happen? Toward the end of the hour of judgment, which will conclude at the climax of the last days with the destruction of the present wicked system. That's why the actions of people today matter so much. It's increasingly urgent that we proclaim the judgment aspect of the good news to them, because the time when God will execute judgment is fast approaching. Why, though, can we say that this judgment message is good news? It's good news for honest-hearted ones because it means the end of wickedness, including all forms of injustice and violence. For those who are suffering as a result of the bad actions of the wicked, this judgment will bring great relief. It will be a clear demonstration of Jehovah's love and justice. However, it will be bad news for those who stubbornly refuse to live by Jehovah's righteous standards. In Bible times, Jehovah warned of various acts of judgment that he would bring against those who deliberately disobeyed his commands. In each case, he informed the affected people well in advance and instructed them to make changes that were in harmony with his will. To encourage the right response, he often used his loyal servants on earth to announce his judgments and to convey a sense of urgency. For example, think of Noah. For years, he fearlessly warned the immoral and violent people of his day about a coming global flood. He also told them what they needed to do to survive. What about Moses and Aaron? Jehovah used them to warn Pharaoh and his servants. For example, think about the specific warning Jehovah gave regarding the seventh plague, a devastating hailstorm. At Exodus 9, 18 and 19, we read that Moses and Aaron gave the people the time and the information they needed to protect themselves from the storm. Yes, Jehovah always makes sure that people have sufficient opportunity to heed his warnings. 2 Peter 3:9 says, "He does not desire anyone to be destroyed, but desires all to attain to repentance." The good news we are now preaching informs people not only of the marvelous hope for the future that Jehovah offers, but also of what we must do to enjoy that hope. That's why we need to let people know about Jehovah's soon-to-come judgment. Notice how the preaching of the good news is tied to divine judgment at Matthew 24:14. And this good news of the kingdom will be preached in all the inhabited earth for a witness to all the nations, and then the end will come. Note how the good news serves as a witness to everyone who hears it. Depending on what they do with it, it will result in their eventual acquittal or condemnation. Just as a court takes time to hear all the facts and to weigh all the evidence, Jesus is wisely using his time now to judge people fairly. Both he and Jehovah continue to analyze the conduct of individuals and how they respond to the good news that we're preaching. How should what we've just considered about the good news affect us? For one thing, we will not hold back from sharing all of the good news. We will talk about the future blessings God has promised, as well as God's judgment of the wicked, which will make these blessings possible. Imagine for a moment that you knew that a dangerous storm was bearing down on where you lived. What would you do? Wouldn't you try to be as prepared as possible so that you could successfully weather the storm? Wouldn't you warn your family, friends, even neighbors, and try to help them to do the same? In a similar way, we try to help as many people as possible to prepare for the impending execution of Jehovah's judgments on this world. While being tactful, we do not hold back from letting people know what they need to do to be saved. For example, we help our Bible students to understand what they need to do. In a frank yet kind way, we help them to see what changes they need to make to harmonize their lives with Jehovah's standards. Our new study tool, Enjoy Life Forever, is designed to help us do such teaching. It includes several features to help our Bible students qualify to preach the good news as soon as possible. For example, at the end of each section, there's a review with questions, some of which are quite pointed. Considering these questions with our students can help them to see what they need to do to apply what they've been learning in their Bible study. We'll have an opportunity to watch a video later on in this program that will demonstrate some of the features in Enjoy Life Forever and how we can use them to help our Bible students.